Everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We all love to take charge of our health and feel empowered by making proactive choices. For those of us with type A personalities, that drive to excel, that stay on top of things, can be a real strength. We are organized, ambitious, and always ready to tackle the next challenge head on. But sometimes that same intensity and the need for control can make our health journey feel overwhelming or even spiral out of control. And sometimes our type A traits can help and hinder us. And navigating the slippery slope can be challenging for some. And that's why we're so glad to chat on IG Live today with Chelsea Kaller. Chelsea is a gut and fatigue specialist. During this live, we are going to discuss the type A loop and its impact on our health, choosing connection over control, managing physical and mental stress with minerals, and so much more. I saw Chelsea. Here you are. Hello. Hi, Chelsea.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
I love your handle, the name of your handle. So we're gonna get to that. But I just want to tell you that.
Oh,
But
thank you.
before we start, tell us a little bit about yourself and then how you became a gut and fatigue specialist.
All right. So a little bit about me. So hi, my name is Chelsea Kaler, and I am a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. How I got here. So for the last 12 years, I have been a commodity trader and consultant. So I have been in corporate finance. So I still have one toe dipped in the door. So I'm still kind of there, but I am basically your textbook high performer, type A personality, but when you're working kind of these high paced, like high stressed careers,
Yeah.
I kind of started experiencing my own chronic health challenges that were a mystery to me. Just struggling with weird chronic pain, anxiety, like I had Bell's palsy at one point. And so through those own challenges and just experiencing burnout, not just physically with those symptoms, but also mentally, emotionally, kind of going through that, man, is this what I want for the rest of my life? I've been doing this for a decade. Like, is this forever? Um, I decided that I was going to become a functional medicine practitioner because I was going to take my health into my own hands. Decided that as a typical high performer type A person would do is go become the practitioner. and so and so I did it selfishly to heal myself, just so I personally could have the ability to order my own functional labs, to interpret my own functional labs, and also just have proximity to other doctors, naturopaths, other practitioners. And so that's organically evolved. And so now I am helping other women do the exact same thing. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
I love it. I've heard I've had friends in commodity trading and I know it's like so intense.
Yes,
Like
I
really intense.
stop. It's intense. I don't hate it. I still love it, but it just was one of those things where I was just like, you know what? I did it. I was good at it. I think I'm ready for the next thing, but I'm also ready to have like my health back. I'm ready to have my time and energy back.
That's so true. Okay. Tell us about your Instagram handle. What does that mean to you?
Okay. So, as I was kind of in the thick of just all my health challenges and almost like an identity crisis, and this was probably like 6 or 7 years ago, where I was just like, oh my gosh, is this what I'm going to do the rest of my life? Because I feel terrible. I really started stepping into this mindfulness. And for me, mindful and mindfulness is really just like getting back to yourself, living intentionally, learning how to be present in your body and in your mind again, and just getting in tune. So that's where mindful came from. And then, fun little fact, Monet is my middle name. So it's what most people in my family and closest friends, that's what they call me. But also for me, like Monet, and from what my mom told me, it's just like Monet kind of presents like a softness and a grace. And so that's kind of something that I don't know, I just kind of have embraced that. So mindful Monet is really just like, being intentional, but also me, like a reminder to myself to just lead with softness and grace and intentionality.
that's so perfect. But I'm also thinking about Monet's painting. You know,
I know. Exactly. Yeah.
it's
I still don't have one yet.
you might be able to get there.
I know, yes. But yeah, ultimately it just kind of it's funny because before I was even into functional medicine, like that's what my Instagram handle was. And it's really, I don't know, it kind of like almost like it was a premonition of like who I was going to step into and who I was going to become before I even knew it. So now it kind of just reflects like my grounded, intentional, like learning to step into my feminine, since obviously my entire background has been living in my masculine, which is just also typical for type A's. But it's also like a powerful thing. So yeah, that's
Mhm.
kind of the background on my handle.
Yeah. Why do you think so many of us experience fatigue and burnout?
Well, one, our culture is just like we're always on. Like there is literally no true rest unless you actually have like sat back and, kind of realize that we're just hustling 24/7. Especially for women and the clients that I work with and myself, and I'm sure yourself included, like we are wearing all the hats. We have careers and jobs, like we're like managing our families, children, husbands. We're trying to like we're trying to like hack our own health. We're trying to be healthy, and then we still have like our personal goals. So we're trying to like manage way too many things, and then we set these really high expectations for ourselves, and then we're really good, especially I just think as a society, like most of us, I would say, are not good at asking for help. So they kind of think like we have to take everything on like ourselves. So all of that in itself is just like stress plus stress plus stress. And so like we're only going to crash and burn eventually, which is why I think that we're all just so exhausted because we're doing all the things. And then we just burn out so easily because we're just pushing through and we're not giving ourselves break. And then we start feeling all these symptoms, we're just kind of ignoring it and then not even trying to figure out like, well, why is this happening? So then we just ride that roller coaster until like I said, we crash and burn.
Yeah. Do you think that your own story that has helped you become a better coach to others?
100%. Yes. I feel like because one, I have lived it. I am still a high achiever. I'm a high performer. I'm still type A. But also it grants me like I'm able to lead with empathy because I've been there. So I'm very big on just like all of my coaching and my consulting that I do is just like empathy led. Um, and I also understand that sometimes like the shame and frustration that could come along with like when you're not feeling yourself. So I do think that like my entire story, I mean, that's exactly how I ended up here. I didn't set out to be in functional medicine, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how it kind of rolled and played out.
Yeah. So we're going to discuss like navigating health complexities as a type A personality. So in your own words, like, what does it mean to be type A?
I think type A means like you're high achieving, you're typically very organized, you're driven. Most of us, actually all of us are pretty much perfectionists and like workaholics. I think that type A, we definitely thrive in structure. We are pretty rigid or not so open to like flexibility in just pretty much anything. And then I think that for most of us, like we're the doers. So we usually don't rest. We're just like, I can handle this. I can do this. Everybody else, just step aside. Let me do it. So I think those are kind of like the main characteristics of type A.
And then the good is like you get things done, but then the bad is like you tend to burn yourself out
Yeah,
and experience fatigue.
exactly. And then you're not asking for help because you're just like, I'd rather do this myself.
Is that the type A loop? Tell us about it.
The type A loop to me is it's definitely like striving for that perfectionism, like that, everything kind of has to be perfect your way. And then with that, that's a stressor in itself. And then like the next phase is like because you're a perfectionist, you have all this pressure that you've put on yourself. So then like you have that pressure, which is another added stressor. So then you eventually burn out and then you repeat it all. And so that's kind of like what I consider loop is just like perfectionism, pressure, burnout, repeat, go in the circle over and over and over again. And again, it's just because we are not creating space to just like pause and actually assess like what is sustainable for me.
Mhm. What impact does excessive type A behavior have on our hormones?
Number one that comes in my brain is like cortisol dysregulation. I mean, especially when we're just pumping out like a ton of cortisol, we don't feel it because we're supposed to feel good, right? Like it's anti-inflammatory. So we just think we can do everything. And then eventually, as you like are coming down the roller coaster, you're getting like that wired and tired feeling until you just crash and you're exhausted. And that's usually like the bottom of exhaustion is like when you hear people say, like, I can barely get out of bed. Like I'm just that exhausted. But there's also different layers. But I mean, with that, like you're impacting your thyroid, it's probably getting sluggish and low functioning, our sex hormones are getting suppressed. So then that's creating, especially for women, like cycle issues. It's suppressing our gut functions. Now we're getting bloated and constipated and having all these like digestive issues. And then it's putting us on a blood sugar roller coaster. So then, with that, that's all of this is triggering inflammation. It's triggering mood swings and anxiety. We're gaining the weight, we're having the cycle issues. So yeah, I mean, it definitely, if you aren't getting in tune to it, and ignoring all the signs and symptoms, then yeah, you're just kind of missing this hormonal like chaos that you're creating.
Yeah, it's also like annoying symptoms. Like none of these symptoms gonna kill you, the next
Oh,
day, but
oh
it's
yeah.
like a drags on. It's just like, ooh, annoying.
Well, and I think that's why it gets so easily ignored and that we're taught that these things are just normal because we all experience it. And yeah, like when it starts, it's just like annoying. When I started out, it was really just like I had constant headaches and, I ignored it for years, not thinking anything of it. But it was also just like, I'm like, oh, this is so annoying. I have another headache and then ignore, continue, continue doing what you're doing.
You had a really great post discussing type A personalities and when it starts to hindering your health, and you recommend connection over control. What does that mean?
So connection over control. So it means a few different things to me. So connection meaning like one, we're very controlled. So like I mentioned earlier, like we tend to get very rigid. So getting connected back to like ourself, our soul, and also others, like there's a community component when it comes to connection. But when it comes to self and physically, it's like we need to connect back to our body. Like we need to, what is our body signaling us? We just talked about like annoying symptoms. So like what is it telling us? It's getting back into our intuition because I think as type A, we are just so like work driven and almost like analytical as well. So it's kind of stepping back into like trusting your gut and your intuition. It's really big on connecting back to like one, we have to have self-awareness. We also need to have self accountability because then that actually helps us step into alignment, with who we are. I kind of look at my approach to be like, since I am type A, I'm a data nerd. So, like, it's very back to science, but it's also, a soul approach, right? So, it's getting into your nervous system. It's, using things like minerals and even mindset, and like, changing how we define success and, our perceptions of ourselves and our perception of what success is. And then, like I said, there's a community component of like connecting back to others. Cause I think that when you do get caught in like workaholism and like perfectionism, you tend to isolate yourself more. And so we're missing out on that connection. So it's also like getting back into like community of people, and kind of just like releasing all this control that we're trying to have over our lives so we can just like get back into ourselves, and like actually just back into like what brings you joy, you know?
Mhm. What about slowing things down? Because you also had a great post that how can slowing things down actually be really beneficial even for type A's?
Yes, which is the hardest thing for us is slowing down. Slowing down is one, we have to like create time and space instead of like always chasing it. I know that like when you're first trying to slow down, it's hard. And I think a lot of us like we actually have to schedule like in like dead periods where you're not doing anything. But by giving yourself that time and space, even if it's 5 minutes or 2 minutes or 10 minutes, you're giving yourself an opportunity to really like regulate your nervous system. But when you do that, then we actually can make better decisions. We can actually have more energy. You actually feel more grounded to where then you have that clarity, that calmness. We can be more creative. And at the end, like it benefits type A people because now we are, creating this time and space so we can actually like be more productive and like get more done, rather than running ragged.
You mentioned like putting something like scheduling the slowing down like
Yes.
that period. What are some other practical ways that can help us slow down?
Um, so with those like scheduling that in, I also think about I'm really big, especially just like especially you have like if you're have a desk job where you actually are on a computer all the time. I always think about intentional transitions between tasks. I know it's hard because we kind of get stuck at our desk and then like we stay there and then you forget to eat and then you're like, oh, I have no water today. No wonder I have a headache. And like, all these things like just you know, you've been at your computer for 6 hours and you're like, oh, have I moved at all? So I try and tell people and I try and work with myself and my clients on like having those like intentional transitions. So like as you go between tasks, like actually stand up, remove yourself. Even if it's just sometimes it's like you only have a minute, you only have 2 minutes. Do you have an opportunity to step outside? Do you have an opportunity to like get fresh air, like actually see the sun in natural sunlight? Do you have time to just like shake out your body for 30 seconds? Like actually like remove yourself and kind of like I said, get into your body. So shake it out, stretch a little bit. Like maybe you just do like some jumping jacks or something. Little things like that can like regulate our nervous system and break things up. So that's one really big tip that I have for people. I try and tell people like if you do get a lunch break, because I've been one of those people where like lunch breaks, what's that? I don't know. Um, but if you do, it's like I can get outside. Like people don't understand like so many things that are so beneficial to our health is like free. It's like get outside, get fresh air, see the sun, walk around a little bit. So that's one big tip that I always tell people. And then another tip is just having like boundaries around our technology. So like one of the most simple basic things that I tell people is like no phone or computer like 30 minutes within you waking up and like 30 minutes before bedtime. Obviously, more is better, but I know for a lot of us, like sometimes we don't have that time capacity. So even if it's just like not grabbing your phone for the first 15 minutes of the day and then putting it away, I think that those are some really super simple things that people can like, I call it try it on for like a week, see how it feels. And people even just like in those simple two things, like notice really big differences in just how they feel.
We've heard like putting don't use your phone 30 minutes before you go to sleep, but this is actually the first time I'm hearing like actually don't use your phone 30 minutes when you wake up.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you wake up and then you reach for your phone, I think a lot of us, like, I'm very intentional about now, like, my phone is just in a different room.
Mm.
And sure, like, there's alarms and stuff that wake me up, but, the first 30 minutes of the day, like, we don't need to jump straight into emails and text messages and phone calls and then just, like, completely, like, starting our stress response, like, immediately upon waking up. It's like, allow yourself some time to just, like, I don't know, go make your breakfast, morning coffee, go sit outside, like go move around a little bit, like, maybe you have chores to do, whatever. But like, disconnect yourself for a little bit in the morning before you jump into your whole day.
That's probably what sets you up for a good trajectory for the entire day.
Yes. Oh yeah, it's just also just sets up your mood the whole time, you don't open like an email and you're like, like instantly annoyed, some request that you have.
Yeah. What are some ways that we can use mineral and food to balance physical and mental like signs of stress?
So, an integral part of my journey, for just everything that I have experienced personally with my health, and then a big pillar in what I do for my clients is mineral replenishment. Because our macro minerals are like magnesium, calcium, sodium, potassium. And when we're just stressed and constantly going, like we are just utilizing those, like we're burning through them so quickly, then we can replenish. Doesn't matter like the healthiest diet that you eat, like you're still not getting enough. So minerals are seen as more like the spark plugs of the body. They support the adrenals, the thyroid, the brain, digestion, like our nervous system. So I use mineral replenishment, but even something as just like sea salt or mineral rich foods and stuff, whole foods. beef, you can do coconut water, like eating your green veggies. They all help kind of replenish to actually help us adapt and be more resilient to stress so we can get through our day. Like I said, it's just like mood, energy, literally, it's like whole body health. So I actually use very strategic, like I use a specific functional lab and then create custom like mineral blends. So then we can actually like replenish exactly what that person needs. And it's also just like it's something so simple, right? I mean, I think a lot of people are used to like, oh, maybe I'll take a multivitamin or I'll try this drink or something like that. So it's just something that I have learned like makes you just feel better because you're actually like filling in the gaps of what you're missing.
I love it. You also use functional lab to actually figure out what exact you need because I think we also heard people don't really know the right dosage, how
Yeah,
much they actually need. But if you
right.
figure it out, then that will actually like not only save you a lot of time, but also save you a lot of money, and you actually feel
Oh,
better.
yeah. The amount of money that I have personally spent, like just in that trial of like, like trial and error cycle of just like, we're going to try this. And then you're just like guessing. So again, since I am kind of a data nerd and my background is like finance and numbers and math, like I like having the data to tell me like, oh, okay, I've been guessing entirely wrong. Like this is what's wrong. Like, or this is
Mhm.
specifically like my body needs this. So it just kind of takes out the guesswork as it gives you exactly what you need. And it cuts out a lot of time, right? Because we waste a lot of time like guessing,
Absolutely.
what's going on.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. What's your type A wellness playbook?
my wellness playbook. I think the first thing is one, like I mentioned, like we have to be aware that we're actually in the loop in the first place. Like I'm really big on self-awareness because if you're not aware, like me telling you, somebody else telling you, an influencer on a reel on Instagram telling you, like it's not going to do anything. Like you have to be aware that you're actually stuck in like this type A loop. Um, I think one, it's making sure that we're eating to fuel ourselves and then not like restrict. I think we're really caught in like this whole restriction, especially when it comes to nutrition. So making sure that we're just like eating appropriately. It's funny, I'm constantly telling people and myself, like, we need to eat more. Like we'll feel so much better if we eat more. So just making sure we're fueling appropriately. Like I said, having those intentional breaks. So nervous system regulation is super trendy and stuff right now, but I mean, it means so many different things. It can be like just going for a walk. It can be like taking your minerals. It's finding that one thing that helps you feel more kind of at ease, like you can take a breath. And feel more grounded. So, like, really trying to figure out, like, what does slowing down mean to you? Because what it means to me is maybe not what it means to you. So
Mhm.
kind of figuring out like what works for you. Um, yeah, really prioritizing like rest and recovery. I think that like we all know how to like go through performance and like get things done. So it's just like actually making that a priority as well. And then I mentioned this earlier. I think it really is like redefining what we think success means. So it's not just like getting things done. It's like what do we want that to feel like? We should actually attach a feeling to it. So I think that's a really big part of it. And those are really, I mean, if you think about it, those five things I just listed are pretty simple. They're not like overly complex.
Although accountability is hard to
Accountability
actually get
is
all
very
five.
Yes. But it takes like, yeah, it takes like the self-awareness too. And I think it's just, I think a lot of us think that we have to overhaul all these things. And I'm really big on like pick one, keep it super simple. I mean, even when I'm doing health coaching and stuff like that, like, I try to keep things simple where I'm just like, we're only focusing on one or two things for 2 weeks. I know that might sound crazy, especially for like when you're a high achiever and like type A, you're like, I can do more. And it's like, nope, that's the whole point. Like, pick one thing. Pick one thing and focus on that, and then you can layer it in. And by taking things very slow and layering in one thing on top of another, that's when you actually create this whole like sustainable lifestyle because you didn't try to overhaul 35 things and then you stuck to nothing. So if you can just stick to like one or two things and then just continue to layer things in, then you kind of build those habits and then you create that like awareness and that accountability that you can actually do them.
How can someone work with you? Like, I mean, like I would be someone with accountability issues, and I would be like, okay, get
Yes.
in more things. But I think working with someone with like you would be like extremely helpful.
Yes. So how people work with me. So right now I just work one-on-one, like privately with people. So I offer different coaching programs that do include functional lab tests, but we usually hop on a call. We kind of co-create like, what are your goals? What are you struggling with? Like what labs make the most sense? And then I work with people one-on-one, typically for like, it could be anywhere from 2 to 4 to 6 months. Again, it just depends on the person. Like it's not one size fits all. It really is like creating something personal for that person. So yeah, I work one-on-one with people currently. And we focus on minerals, we focus on gut health, we do hormones, nervous system. I do a lot of mindset coaching, detox and drainage, like all the things. But yeah, typically what we do is like I call it a health strategy call. It's usually a free call
Mhm.
that we hop on. We kind of strategize for about like 30 minutes on like what exactly are you looking for? Like I said, like actually creating out what could a roadmap look like for you. And again, these are free. It's just an opportunity for us to connect and even just for me to think, is what you're looking for within my wheelhouse and do we actually vibe with each other? No? And so
You
yeah.
have the awareness.
Yes, exactly. So yeah. And then I usually on my Instagram, Mindful Monet, I have like a link in my bio, but I'm super like it's me messaging people so people can like DM me. I have like an interest application, so that's just like, I can review things ahead of time before we hop on a call. I know some people don't like to jump straight into calls, so I'm like if it's easier to kind of fill out a questionnaire, then we can like, just chat via text message, email. I'm pretty flexible now. So really, providing people a lot of options because I know that we all like consume information and communicate differently. So have a lot of different options.
That is amazing. Thank you so much, and thank you
Yeah,
for what you do.
of course.
Anything else you would like to share?
I think it's just like we don't have to go through feeling like that we have to push through things. I know that that's even like today, like I'm very transparent. It's something that I still, struggle with myself where you feel like you got to push through that fatigue. Um, but like simplifying our health and simplifying just like our rhythms can be like I said, it can be very simple and it is possible to feel good and vibrant again. It just really takes like the right strategy and like how we started this conversation, like really just like being intentional about what matters to you. So yeah, those would be my final thoughts.
Love it, love it. Thank you so much, and
Of
thank
course,
you so
thank you
much
for
for
having
sharing
me.
all these tips.
Of course.
Until next time.
Yes, of course. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.